Thank you very much. Excellency Walter Foss, Excellency Victor Bodu, Professor Pillai from Indira Gandhi Open University, Excellency Shri Tariq Ahmad Karim Sahab from Bangladesh, Shri Narayanji, my friend Ravi, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege to be here this morning and to share some of the views on e-governance. Before I come to the presentation, let me draw your attention to some of the very exciting time which we are witnessing today all over the world. In whole of Middle East and many other parts of the country, a large number of people are raising their voices. And they are raising their voices primarily because they want to be a part of the governance process. They are not against the forms of the government, whether it is democracy, whether it is other form of governance. But everybody today wants to be a part of the governance. They don't want to be a mere spectator. They don't want to be mere people who are being governed. They want to have a say in the decision making. They want to have a say in the major decision and programs and plans. And that's why they are raising voices. Only day before in Syria, a large number of people were raising their voices, and this was primarily to be part of that process. However, the government took a different view, and then a lot of people got killed. Even in India, you'll see that government is making very, very sincere effort to create a mechanism so that we are able to consult our citizen in a meaningful manner. And it's not a mere consultation. We'll go a step forward. And we would like to go in for a participative governance. And that's why you see a lot of viewpoints on Lokpal, lot of other demands coming from every quarter of the country. And these demands are primarily to be a part of the decision-making process. And it's not a bad thing. For any society, for any government, it is necessary to have a very wide consultation before we take a decision which is going to affect the millions. And now, let me come to the main topic of e-governance. And before I come to e-governance, let me give the snapshot of my own country. As you know, India is an extremely difficult and complex country. It has got huge diversity. It has got a population of 1.2 billion people, and out of that, 70% people live in rural areas. It's a huge, huge task to take care of these 70% people, and that means almost 800 million people. And if we had to take care of these 800 million people, we got to devise new ways and means of taking care of them. Then it's a multilingual country. We have got 22 officially recognized languages, and we have got more than 1,500 dialects. And if you go to any province, people speak their own language. And you'll be surprised to know that only 2% of Indian population, 2% of 1.2 billion people, they speak English. And 98% people of this country speak their own language. You go to Gujarat, you'll find a different kind of a language. And if you go to deep south, people speak different language. You travel 500 kilometers, 600 kilometers, and you come to an area where the culture is different, the ethos are different, the language is different, and it becomes a huge challenge to administer this country. Then it's a multi-religious and multi-ethnic society. And let me tell you one more thing, that in spite of the fact that it's a multi-religious and multi-ethnic country, we have been able to take the agenda of secularism forward, and not only forward, we had been strengthening this institution of secularism. When we became independent in 1947, a lot of people all over the world, they thought that India would not be able to keep its independence intact. But not only we kept this country intact, we have been able to strengthen all basic institutions of this country, whether democracy, secularism, the inclusive agenda, affirmative action, all these institutions were strengthened, and today you see a country where the democracy is very, very vibrant, and not only it's vibrant, but it's thriving and moving forward. As you know, India is a federal country. We have got 35 union territories and the states, and all these state governments are very, very powerful organizations. Most of the powers are vested in the state governments. And it becomes a huge challenge again to have a policy which is cutting across all the states and union territory. And then it's a multi-party, multi-tier democracy with more than 250,000 local bodies. In the rural areas, we have got an elected body called panchayats. For every almost 2 to 3 villages, we have got a panchayat, and all these panchayats are being administered by elected representative. Coming to the Indian economy, as you know, today we are growing almost at 8.5%, and this year we expect to grow at 9%. Today we are the second fastest growing economy in the world after China. And let me also tell you one thing. In 1947, when we became independent, nobody ever thought that India would ever see a growth rate of 8 or 9%. People thought that we would be growing at 3%, 3.5%, and we used to call it Hindu rate of growth, and for many, many years, we kept growing at a rate of 3 or 3.5%. Today, we are growing at almost 8.5, 9%, and we expect to take this growth rate to almost 11 or 12% in near future. But that's a huge task. It was relatively easier to take the growth rate from 3.5% to almost 9%. But it's a very, very big task and very challenging task to take it forward to 11 or 12%. In terms of the size of the economy, today we are the 4th largest in the world, and we expect to be the largest economy in the world by 2050. China, Indonesia, and US, these countries are going to be after India. In terms of GDP growth, I have already spoken about you, so I am not going to take your time. Coming to the growth of IT and ITES, and India has done wonderfully well, and we take pride in that. The revenue last year was of the order of $88 billion US, and contribution to the GDP of this sector alone was 7.7%. And not only that, this particular sector is giving huge employment opportunity to our young boys and girls, even in smaller towns. Coming to the telecom, one of the most vibrant sector anywhere in the world. We have got more than 875 million telecom subscribers today. It's a little dated, 846. Now it is about almost 875 million subscribers. We have got more than 100 million internet users, though this number is a little small, but this number is growing very fast. And even in the broadband subscriber category, we are making huge progress. As I said earlier, the fastest growth anywhere seen in the world in this particular sector, the lowest tariff in telecom, and rural penetration is also expected to reach 36% by end of this year. But in spite of all these impressive numbers, in spite of all this growth of 8.5, 9%, in spite of huge phenomenal growth in telecom sector and ITS, there is huge and sharp economic disparity. Even today, almost 1/3 of our population lives below poverty line. That means they earn less than $1 per day, and it is very, very difficult